Alright, so back to what I was talking about. Well, I was talking about Office 365 and Google Apps, but that's the latest news with Google Apps. They're going to charge from now on. And no longer is Google going to have the upper hand as far as pricing is concerned, except for the fact $5 per month per user. Now, I do still say if you, depending on what the needs of your company, depends on the needs of your company, I'm going to say that both of them are not easy to set up because I'm having a hard time to say this because here's the reason why. If you're used to using Microsoft Outlook, then most likely you want to go with Office 365. Even though Google has a plugin for Outlook, for me at least, it didn't really work that well. The Google connector, I think it's called, doesn't work very well in Outlook. In fact, it sucks if you ask me. And it's better if you use Gmail, the browser version, if you have Google Chrome. You know, it works better if you just use the browser, specifically Google Chrome. So if you have Google Apps, you're really, and not a whole lot of proprietary software, you can pretty much use Google App or Google Chrome for your entire company. And that's, of course, if you're not using any proprietary software that must use Internet Explorer or Firefox. Now, as far as Office 365, it works well with any Microsoft product. And it works really well with Windows Phone. If you have an Office 365 account, it works with Windows Phone directly. In fact, it is almost seamless. Because this is all you got to do. This is all you got to do. You go into the account settings and you add your Office 365 account to it. You type in your email address and password. Immediately, all your email, tasks, calendar items, everything is synced up. But you go into the Microsoft Office portal or hub, your SharePoint items start showing up. Then you type in your Windows Live account, and all of a sudden, your SkyDrive items start showing up. And it's that easy. It just bling, there it is. It just does it. And it works flawlessly. Now, if you use a lot of Google services, you're going to be out of luck with Windows Phone. Google announced that they're not going to create any apps for Windows Phone, which I think is a prejudice act because Microsoft seems to develop a lot for Android and iPhone. Even though they're having a hard time working with Office because there's an agreement issue between Microsoft and Apple. That's why, even though they announced Microsoft Office for iPad, it hasn't come out yet because there's some issues with pricing in the Apple Store. And here's an example. Supposedly, you can download and install Microsoft Office for free, but you're going to get a limited version on iPad. But if you have a subscription, or you paid for your Office 365 account, then you pay for your Microsoft Office, or you use Office 365 to subscribe to Microsoft Office, you get the full version of Microsoft Office on your iPad. Great, right? The problem with that is Apple has an agreement. If you're an app developer and you give your software for free, but you pay for a subscription, that Apple gets 30%. Now, why would Microsoft give 30% to Apple. That's a lot. And so there's a conflict there because they're giving 30% of the Microsoft Office profit over to Apple. Of course, that's going to stop you from wanting to make an app for iPhone or iPad. Now, as you know, Windows Phone has the highest fees for apps that you sell in the Windows marketplace. They have the same agreement that Apple does. In fact, Android does too. They all make money off of your apps. If it's free, they don't, but if it's not free and you charge for your apps, they make some money on your apps. That's any app store. But you have to consider that Microsoft Office is very expensive. It is, you know, and 30% of that is it's a very high amount, and it doesn't really. I don't think it will pay very good for Microsoft if they went ahead and did it and give the 30% to Apple. They will lose a lot of money. So I mean, it's kind of hard to. I think Microsoft and Apple try to work it out because it would be nice if Microsoft Office was installed or could be installed on the iPad, since Microsoft knows that, hey, iPad is selling. Now here's something else that's news in the tech world. Microsoft Surface is actually doing better than Nexus tablet. Now that was amazing news to me because I actually thought that Android tablets and iPad was going to do better than Microsoft. But I knew that it was going to be not that far behind. Like, Windows Phone is only 3% in the marketplace. I actually thought, you know, the Microsoft Surface or any Windows 8 tablet would be far behind. But they're not. It ended up being that Nexus tablet is 23% in the marketplace this Christmas season. Microsoft Surface is at 27%, and then Apple iPad has the rest. So Apple iPad is still the highest selling tablet in the market, but Microsoft is beating out Google, which is amazing. In my opinion, there is not a whole lot you can do with a Google tablet, Android tablet, unless your company and your person uses Google as your primary service. Now, in my case, I use both. I use Google and I use Microsoft. I have nothing against Google, I just don't like Android. But because I use both, I would need one or two things. Either for Google to release apps for Windows 8 and Windows Phone 8, or I'll have to go out and buy a Nexus 7 or a Nexus 10 and a Microsoft Surface in order for me to take advantage of both worlds. I would rather have everything in one, though. Actually, I kind of wish they came out with an Android emulator for Windows 8. You know, I think because Android is an open source, why doesn't Microsoft come up with the emulator? But I can see why they don't, because it would defeat the purpose as to Microsoft advertising that their product is far superior than Google. And in my opinion, it is. The OS is far superior. I'm talking about the OS. I'm not talking about what apps are available. No, I'm talking about just the OS by itself. It's far superior to any OS out there. The only problem is, you know, there's apps that need to be developed. The OS does need to mature a little bit. Updates will have to be made, but this is the core. I'm talking about the core of Windows 8 is far superior, in my opinion, than any other OS out there. There's something else better. And I'm speaking from a person who loves technology. I'm speaking from a person who was considering buying an iPad just about a year ago. I was considering it. It was in my mind. I was like, yeah, you know. I'm not an app person, so really and truly, I consider this factor. What comes out of the box? Does it have everything I need? Well, in my opinion, Microsoft Surface and Windows Phone 8 comes with, well, okay, I'm saying like this. Windows 8, whether it's Pro or RT, and Windows Phone 8, out of the box comes with everything I need. It has everything I need, so there's really no need for me to go anywhere else. Because I use Office 365 for my business, and I also use it for my personal email. On that same account, I have my personal email address. And I have my sHiZ, my hit me up at sHiZ.us attached to my Office 365 account. So out of the box, Microsoft Surface for Windows 8 tablet and Windows Phone 8 has everything I need. Google and iPhone or iPad or iOS does not. It doesn't have everything I need out of the box. I will have to download some stuff, download some apps. And in my opinion, I mean, like on my phone right now, I have an Android phone. I have to download a lot of apps to make it work for me. You know, and I got my email, which is out of the box. I got my I got a lot of things on this phone that to make it work, but it doesn't necessarily work directly with my Office 365 account. It really doesn't, not out of the box. So you have to consider that. You have to buy a device that works out of the box for you. If you're using Google most of the time, then you definitely want to get an Android phone and an Android tablet, because out of the box, you're going to have everything you need without having to do a whole lot to make it work. So, Android is a little messy, though. I just personally, in my opinion, Android is very messy. But the services that Google offers is also a little messy. It's not straightforward. It's not, it doesn't, nothing really matches. You know, in the last few years, Microsoft has been working very hard to make everything work. Oh. They're working, I mean, and so everything works together. So when you're working on Microsoft Dynamics CRM, you're working on Office 365, you're working on Microsoft Dynamics ERB, you got your Windows Server, you got your Windows Azure, your Windows Intune. You got all that stuff that's going to run flawlessly through one Active Directory account. And you can host your Active Directory in the cloud with Windows Azure, so that you don't have to worry about having a bunch of servers in your office. And with an addition, now, I don't agree with this, but Microsoft doesn't have their own phone service outside of Skype. So you have to get a third-party service for Link, and you can have a phone service through Microsoft Link. So really and truly, I don't need to have a whole bunch of PSTN boxes, which is, you know, phone service, and a bunch of routers and all that. All I got to do is just make sure that my office has a really good internet connection. Just get the highest speed business account with your internet provider, preferably cable company, unless you're in a city that has Comcast. If you ask me, Comcast sucks. If you have Time Warner or Rover and Time Warner, it's the same company now, you know, then you're going to be fine. Or you get a really good fiber connection with your phone company, if that's available in your area. Then that's all you need, because everything is hosted in the cloud. Microsoft Link is probably, outside of Cisco, the best unified communication systems available. And it works directly with your Office 365 account. So you don't need to have or worry about assigning additional permissions. All you got to do is install Link on the user's computer, give them a user account, and that's it. Link will work. Now, Cisco, you need to really work with it to make it work. And Cisco is great. In fact, Cisco has the best communication software out there. But Microsoft Link is trailing right behind. It's like right behind Cisco. Google doesn't have anything like this. Sure, they have Google Talk, which is IM, audio, video, but it's not as sophisticated as Microsoft Link. It isn't. I'm sorry, it isn't. I mean, I use Google Talk. I use Google Talk to my Gmail account, and I use Google Talk to my Google Apps account. It is not as sophisticated. Though, I do like Google Hangout. I'm sorry, Google Hangout is the bomb, okay? But still, it is not as sophisticated as Microsoft Link. Microsoft Link is everything you need for your company. You don't need Cisco. Cisco is expensive. Microsoft Office 365 is only, if you choose the enterprise plan, which I recommend, do not get the small business plan with Microsoft Office 365. You might as well go with Google. But if you get the enterprise plan, mid-sized business plan, which starts at $8 per month per user, you're going to get everything you need, and it's going to be worth the cost. If you have a company of over 50 people, that's about $400 per month. With Google, you're going to be paying for 50 people about $250 a month, but you're not going to get as much. You pay for what you get, and you get what you pay for. You're not going to get as good a service with Google like you will with Microsoft Office 365. You're just not. It's just not as sophisticated and doesn't do exactly what you want. You can always set up a subdomain, like I did with my account. I set up a subdomain because I want to use YouTube and create an account that way. But really and truly, you're going to get more services with Microsoft that's corporate related than you will with Google. Sure, Google has a lot of consumer stuff that you can access to Google Apps, but you don't need that for corporate. You don't need OrCut. Do you really need Google Plus? No, because all you need for Google Plus is one account to do your social media. I do recommend you use Google Plus, but really and truly, Google Plus is not doing that well. It's not doing as well as like Facebook. Facebook is still very popular. That can change tomorrow. Google Plus can take over Facebook before we know it, just like how Facebook took over MySpace. MySpace was the bomb. I mean, well, it wasn't the bomb, but it was very well. I mean, everybody had a MySpace page. Everybody. I still do. I never had been logged into MySpace in a long time, but I still got a MySpace page. If you go to it, you're going to see some old stuff on it, though. And it's probably not well done because Justin Timberlake and a few of his partners have purchased MySpace and they plan to relaunch it, so they took away a lot of services. And so my MySpace page looks kind of messy now. It does. It looks very messy. But Facebook, Google Plus is nowhere near what Facebook can do. I don't like Facebook, really. I really don't like Google Plus. But Facebook is definitely more used. It's used more than MySpace is. So, of course, in order for me to be in the social media market, I need to make sure that my Facebook page is updated. and my LinkedIn for professional uses. I gotta make sure all that stuff is updated. You cannot ignore Facebook, and surely do not ignore Google Plus. At least not at this time. You should never know. Okay, ramblings. This is going to be my last video recording today, unless something major happens. So, like me on Facebook, Google Plus, Twitter, LinkedIn. Hit me up at sHiZ.us is my email address, and sHiZ.us is my website. Go there, become a member. In the meantime, and peace out. Have a good one. Love you all. I looked away.